What is up, Shark Army? It's your boy Sharky. Welcome back to another video. Today is going to be a little bit of a different one. Rather than a gameplay video, today I am going to be ranking every farming game for the PC in the tier list from best to worst, and this is going to be my honest opinion. Every farm game for the PC that I have played, or the most popular ones that we all seem to be playing and we have done for many years, I'm going to be rating them. Which one is the greatest and which farm games are awful, which ones are at the bottom of the list, ones that I didn't enjoy myself. This is all going to be obviously my experience with these games, my opinions, so if you do see any at the top of the list and you're wondering why, or at the bottom, just do take into consideration that this is my opinion from my experience of playing all of these games myself. Obviously everyone is entitled to an opinion, everyone likes different kind of games and different styles, so this is going to be so generic. But as you can see, we're in a tier list. We're going to go through what the tiers are, starting with the best to the worst, and then we'll go through all of the games. I think there's like nearly 40 games that I'm going to put into this, and yeah, just sit back, relax. Let's start off with the tiers. There is 5 in total. As you can see, they're all farm related with the names, but at the top we have GOAT, which is obviously greatest of all time. So these are like the greatest farming games ever. And then in the second tier, just below the greatest, we have amazing, but spelled a little bit differently. As you can see, amazing. Yeah, okay, don't ask her. I'm trying to be funny with the farm related things here, but yeah, amazing. It's basically, it's a good game, it's great, we had fun, we loved it, but it's just not the greatest. So we have that. Then we have the neutral, the yellow colour, which is not bad or not bad. So these are just games that are okay, they're not amazing, and they're not bad. So yeah, the ones that are just okay go in the middle there. And then we have the orange, which is getting towards the bad now. We have wilted, which means dead, like a dead crop. A game that just died, it just didn't do very well. It didn't live up to the expectations and the hype. And yeah, those games that I feel did just die and weren't as good as they should have been are gonna go there. And then yeah, at the bottom of the list we have utter cow. But yeah, games that are just dreadful and shouldn't be made into a game. They just ripped off something or mocked it, and yeah, it's just bad for the genre of the farming RPGs. So here we go. That is the 5 tiers, and now we're going to go through all of the games. As you can see, they're all at the bottom here, and we're going to go through each from the start to the end, and I'm going to put them honestly and personally into the tiers that I think. So I'm going to crack open a drink. Hopefully you guys have all got a drink as well. Sit back, relax, and let's get into it. It's going to be a more laid-back one. And obviously, we are starting with Stardew Valley, the first game on the list, and you know where this is going. This will be so silly to not go here. This is the GOAT. This is the GOAT of farming RPG games. This is one of the greatest of all time. Obviously, we had to start the video with Stardew Valley because it's what I am essentially. I'm a Stardew Valley YouTuber and I've played it for many years on the channel, and we love this game. It's got to be there. This is starting the tier off so high. What games can live up to Stardew Valley? Well, let's find out, guys. Obviously, Stardew Valley is one of them games that reminded me of my childhood from when I used to love farming games, Harvest Moon and Story of Seasons, etc. And yeah, this is like a modern version of that, and I loved it when it came out. I was so hooked and addicted, and that's why I started making videos on it, because it's just one of those games I put so many hours into. I just had to share my experience on YouTube for people to see, and hopefully my tips and tricks and stuff, because I was so advanced in the game so early on because I played so much. I thought yeah, why not make some videos on this, and you guys loved it just as much as me. It has a very special place in my heart, it always will. Stardew Valley is one of my favourite games of all time, and it's going to be nowhere else on the list other than GOAT. So let's go into the second one on the list. Some of these games you might not even know what they are, guys, but I have featured all of these on the channel, I believe. Or if they're not on the channel, I've not made a video on them. I have actually played them myself. So the second one is Aquacultureland. You probably have no idea what this is, but I did make a video on it. I'll put some gameplay in the background of the game just so you have a good idea of what it looks like. This is like a farming style game, but it's aqua farming, so you are farming for like fish and water-based plants, etc. It's not your average chicken, cows, strawberries and stuff like that. It's a little bit different. It's not amazing, but it's also, it wasn't bad. I did enjoy it. It's got potential, but it's just not up there in the top 2. I would be tempted to put it in dead, to be honest, because it was a little bit of a dead game. Like, I never played it again after the video. It just didn't draw me in, but it also wasn't bad. So it's between these two for me. But I am going to put it in dead. I might be a little bit harsh with this, but it's just, there's a lot of games that will be going in not bad and amazing, and I just don't see Aquacultureland in there. You guys might have a different opinion. If you've played that game yourself, let me know where you'd put it, and if you haven't played it, then check it out. But it's just a game for me that I never played again, so it can't, it's got to stay there, unfortunately. Next game on the list, Story of Seasons, but this is Doraemon Story of the Seasons. I can remember when this came out, I did some live streams on it, I did a few videos on it. I did actually enjoy it. It reminded me of the classic Harvest Moon games. Obviously, the original developers of Harvest Moon started making Story of Seasons. They had to change the title of the game, etc. This was the first Story of Seasons game to come to the PC, apart from most of the new one that we're all playing at the minute, which we'll get into later. But yeah, Doraemon Story of Seasons, it's not bad. It wasn't a bad game. I did actually put a few hours into this, even after streaming and making videos. It did have me hooked for a little while, but that didn't live too long. I still found myself going back into Stardew Valley and lots of other farming RPG games. But it was a good game. It wasn't bad. I did enjoy playing it. The only thing for me personally is I wasn't familiar with Doraemon. Obviously, it's like an anime or something, or a manga series, and I had no idea who the characters are, so I couldn't really get attached to them and relate to them. I couldn't build up this like chemistry with the people because I just didn't have a clue who they were. So obviously that's a big part towards this game. You needed to know what the anime series were. So I'm going to put this as not bad. Obviously it's still a good game. It's between amazing and not bad, but I'm going to go there. Now the next one on the list is Staxel, a very, very awesome farming RPG game. I did play this on the channel quite a lot. I've not made a video on it for a long time though, but this was a very good game. It's another game that I put a lot of hours into. If you don't know what Staxel is, it's crossed between like a Stardew Valley Harvest Moon game, but with like Minecraft elements to it. You can build, it's like a block craft game. You have to build your own chicken coops, your own barns. You don't just buy one, you have to build it and get your animals there. It's actually a very, very good game, and I'm actually going to put this in amazing because I did actually enjoy Staxel a lot, and you know what, it's one of the games that I want to get back into again, to be honest, and I know a lot of you guys enjoy that one too. Now next on the list, Harvest Life. If you don't know what I'm doing right now, I'm shaking my head. This game it's utter cow poo. It's not good. It's not good. When I played this game, and I made a video on this as well, in the description of the game, and to like try and sell it, they lived it up to like Harvest Moon. It was an Harvest Moon inspired game, etc. So you have good vibes for the game. You see Harvest Moon in the description, you think this has got to be good. If they took inspiration from it, you know, the screenshots looked okay, but the gameplay it's just bad. I mean, if you look at the reviews on Steam, it's not just me who thinks this, but I did not enjoy this at all. It was making that video was kind of painful. I didn't want to slag off the game and let people know how bad it really was, but I didn't enjoy it. I never played it again. In fact, I've never opened that game again after all that time. It's just not good. It's not a good farm game. They've rushed it. That's what it seemed, a little bit too rushed, very empty. It just lacks what a farming game should be. But that's just my opinion. You'll have to let me know if you have played this game. If you still do, then yeah, let me know. But yeah, it's not one for me, I'm afraid. It's definitely at the bottom of the list there. Look at this. We've got like a pattern going on here. We've gone straight down. That is crazy. Okay, so next on the land is Dayland or D-Land. We also have Summer in Mara next on the list. So both of these games are made by the same developers, I believe. Quote me if I'm wrong. Obviously, Summer in Mara is the newest addition to farming RPG games. It came out this year. But Dayland was like an adventure RPG with like sandbox elements, and farming was a big thing in the game, such as crafting and building. But was on planets, like your own little planet. The aspects of the game was very good. The visuals was very good. I had a blast playing it. I never really dove into it deep. I never completed the game or whatever, but my time playing it, I almost felt it was a little bit, I got bored very easily. It was the same kind of thing, very repetitive, and it's going to be the same with Summer in Mara, which I'm going to go through in a second as well. I just feel like the games are a little bit like lacking something. It's lacking something that's just not hooking me to wanting to play it again. I don't know what it is. It's hard to explain. They just feel a little bit empty, like something's missing, and this is what I got with Dayland. So I'm going to put this as not bad because it wasn't a bad game at all. It's definitely not a dead game, and it wasn't poo. And we're going to go to Summer in Mara. Now this game, it had huge potential. I love the looks of it. I still do. I do enjoy playing it, but it's the same as Dayland. It just felt like it lacked something for me, a little bit unpolished. The potential for this game is so high. It could have so much more to it. I think it was just almost felt a little bit rushed to me, like they just wanted to get a game out, and I don't like that because I was following Summer in Mara for a long time, and it was one on my list that I was super excited for. And yeah, I wouldn't say I was disappointed with it, maybe a little, but it just didn't excite me as much as I thought it would. But it is a good game, and I do love it. It's hard to put this into amazing or not bad. Okay, it is actually, I'm going to put it in amazing because it is better than Dayland in my opinion, so it can't be in the same tier as that. So yeah, Summer in Mara is going to be amazing. Even though it did lack something, obviously it stops it from being the greatest of all time, but yeah, I'm going to put that there. Next on the list, oh what a game, My Time at Portia. What a game, I love this. It's one of my favourite farming RPGs out there. I'm tempted to put this in GOAT just because it is so good, and I know a lot of people love it as well, but can I compare it to Stardew Valley? But I also think it's better than Summer Mara and Staxel. Oh, okay, right, I'm gonna put My Time Portia in GOAT. It is one of the greatest of all times. Stardew Valley should have another tier in my opinion above GOAT, but My Time Portia is a great game. It is one of the greatest of all time. If you don't know what this game is and you've never played it, then you're missing out, because it's a wonderful game. It's like a 3D Stardew Valley. Like, you live in a town, you own a workshop, you've got to make commissions, fulfill them, you've got to restore your workshop, you can grow crops, raise animals, befriend, get married, and it's all set in like a post-apocalyptic land. There's like RPG elements with the battling, leveling up skills. There's just a lot to it. It looks beautiful. This had me hooked for a long time. I played this for so long. I even have this on the Switch and I play it on there as well. It's been one of my favourites for a long time. It's got so many good reviews on Steam and many other platforms as well. People love this game. So yeah, it's going in GOAT. I know maybe that's too high, but it is one of my favourites, and yeah, it's got to be there for me, guys. Next on the list, Farm Together. This is like a multiplayer farming game. Basically, it's set to be farming with friends and stuff, but I did make a video on this, single player. You're on a farm, you got to grow it up all by yourself, or you can obviously play with friends and stuff like that. It's a very relaxing farming experience. It's one of them games you can just sit back, relax, and literally farm. And at one point I was addicted to this game. I couldn't stop playing it. But it's one of them games where it's set around like real base time. So if you are producing like an apple tree, it would take like 8 hours in real life to produce an apple. So you have to play the game, go off it, come back on it again in a few hours or the next day and harvest everything, plant all your seeds. And it's one of them games. It's set in like real time. As much as those games are kind of good, it reminds me of like a mobile game with that aspect. And it was good for a while, but then it started getting a bit frustrating. It started getting a little bit slow for me. I wanted it to be a bit faster, because I was sick of waiting, essentially. But yeah, it's a good game. It's not bad. I recommend to play. I'm going to put it in not bad. That's definitely where it goes for me. It's not at the top 2. But yeah, let's just put that there. Next on the list, Garden Paws. Awesome game. I've made a lot of videos on the channel of this as well. They're constantly updating. It's so much content. Such a cute, charming game. The visuals are beautiful. It reminds me a lot of Animal Crossing. Sadly, I don't play it as much now as I did. That's mainly because there's lots of other farm games I'm playing. But Garden Paws, you inherit your grandparents' farm. Obviously, you play as little animals in this game as well, to mention. You aren't humans, you are animals. And the whole island is flourished with animals. You can have pets and animals. You can get crops and stuff like that. You got to build the town up, get all the buildings back up and running, get the people to come and live on the island. And yeah, the game's huge. It's got loads of potential. A very well made game, and I'm actually going to put this in. I'm torn between not bad and amazing. Yeah, I'm going to put it in amazing. I think it lives up to Staxel and Summer and Mara. Yeah, I'm happy with that. That's where I'm going to put Garden Paws. Next on the list, Gleaner Heights. If you're not familiar with this game, it's got an old school charm to it, a classic farming game, like basically similar to the old classic Harvest Moon games. It's like it's set in a suburban gothic atmosphere, like in the 90s, all the TV shows and stuff like that. Obviously, it's a farming game. You can craft, combat, you get relationships up. There's a lot of mysterious events that happen in the game. This is like a very nostalgic game. It does remind me a lot of my childhood, the layout of it, and it was made to be like that. So I did love that a lot about Gleaner Heights. But it was also one of them games that just lacked something to me. I don't know what it was. I just didn't play enough of it. I think, you know, we're in the modern age now. Games have come a long way. So making a classic, charming game from like the 90s and stuff, you know, basing it around that, as exciting and awesome that is, we just don't play games like that anymore. You know, the gaming industry is so much different. We like the modern feel to the games, such as Stardew Valley. So yeah, there was that element there that was stopping me from enjoying it as much as I should. So I'm going to put Gleaner Heights in not bad. It's not an amazing game. It's not a greatest game of all time, but it's not dead. You know, it's not a bad game. So I am going to put that right there. Next on the list, one of my favourites, Graveyard Keeper. What a game. Graveyard Keeper is basically, rather than living on a farm, you are on a graveyard. You manage a medieval graveyard. The story is very deep. There's lots of quests and you've got to delve deep into it. Obviously you can farm and do many things around that kind of element, but it's a lot different to other farming games. It's a lot different to all of those on the list I've put on there so far. It reminds me a lot of Stardew Valley, but with a medieval twist, a very dark game, and it's one that I put a lot of hours into. Absolutely loved it. There's no doubt it's got to be an amazing for me. I was going to put it as a GOAT game. It's hard. Is it a GOAT? I'm not sure. The only thing that lets Graveyard Keeper down, even though it's meant to be like that, it's very grindy, so you've got to have patience with the game. You can't just expect to play the game, have a few hours on it and you're happy. It's one of them games that you've got to put so much hours into, so much time. It's so grindy, repetitive. I know people love that kind of style of game. I was one of them. I do like games like that. I don't mind it, but in recent events, I just don't have the time to play games like that. I can't put as much hours into it as much as I could before. So that's the only downside to it. So Stardew Valley in my time Portia are a little bit more relaxed, and you know, you can play through at ease, at peace, and do whatever you want to do. You know, you go at your own pace. Whereas Graveyard Keeper, there is no pace. It's literally just yeah, you've got to get on it. It's just constant grind. So for me, it's going amazing. Very close to being a GOAT game, but it just doesn't compare with those two at top of there for me personally. Another one we've got, Slime Rancher. You should know what this game is. This game did so well, people absolutely love it. You know, you're farming for slimes essentially. You are a slime rancher, it says it in the title. Rather than farming for animals and crops, which you can still do in the game, but you are breeding slimes. You've got to try and collect them all, farm for them, you've got to feed them. Each slime likes different things. They like to be living in different environments and eating different foods. Such a good game. For me, I'm putting this also in amazing. Not much more to say about it. It deserves the amazing spot because it is such an amazing game, and that's where it goes for me. I might need to speed this up a bit because I'm sorry I'm taking a long time. I'm talking about this, getting into the games a little bit too much here, but this is what kind of video this is. We're sitting back, talking about farming games, and I'm putting them in a tier list in my opinion. Next on the list, Alchemy Story. Did make one video on this, never played it again. It's a little bit it's not my style of game, this. It's a little bit too adorable for me. It's a charming game, it has potential, but it's just not that kind of game for me. So sadly, I'm going to put this in dead. I'll put some gameplay up, obviously, so you can see what it's like and what it's about. I know a lot of people will love this game and probably do love this game because it is that kind of style that some people get attached to. It's very cute. All the creatures and the people and stuff are adorable. It does have potential. A little bit boring for me. It didn't last long. It did die. It essentially is a dead game for me. I never played it again. Just like Aquacultureland, I played it once, made a video on it, never went on it again. Whereas all these other games, I did actually play it a lot more. I went back into, and yeah. So for me, it's just a dead farm game. But that's just my opinion. Next on the list, the Stillness of the Wind. This is such a peaceful, quiet game. It's a lot different to what I expect. In fact, I know probably a lot of you guys have no idea what this is, but yeah, it's a quiet game of life and loss. So one by one, everyone left the village that you're in. They went to the city. Everyone except one person, which you are. Her name's Talma. You've only got a few years left. You're getting old. I think you're like an old chicken or whole den or something like that, whole den. And yeah, you've not got long left, but she maintains a simple way of living. She wants to stay on her homestead, stay on the farm. She didn't want to go to the city. She wants to spend her last few years on this farm in this very peaceful, quiet, lonely, empty place while surviving. You get these disturbing letters that get sent to you from the family in the city. Lots of stuff happens, and yeah, it's a little bit sad. It hits the nerves, but it's a very charming, peaceful game, and I enjoy playing it. I'm actually going to put this in not bad because it's not a bad game at all. I recommend to play it if you haven't, guys, as well. All these games that are in the high list here, I recommend to play them because they are very good games if you've not tried them out. Next on the list, now, this is a new game that's recently came out. It's called Traveler's Rest. Now, I have not made a video on this. I've only played it the once as well. I think I got like a beta version to this, got sent to me. I was meant to be making a video on it, but sadly I never got around to doing it. The beta basically finished, so I didn't have time to actually record it. But the game is out now for you guys to play. It's an early access game. Traveler's Rest, you're an innkeeper, very similar to Graveyard Keeper in my opinion, but you own an inn. You've got to transform a rundown town into a bustling town, you know, get loads of people coming over to your town, into your tavern. You've got to brew your own beer, you've got to run your own farm, you can explore, build relationships with the customers to create your own fancy tavern. And yeah, it looks very awesome. I've only played, like they say, the beta, and I had a blast playing that. Because it's such a new one, and I've not really played that much of it, I don't really know where to put it. I'm just going to stick this in the middle, neutral, because I've not played it enough to get a good opinion on it, because it's so new. And it's not a dead game, because it just came out, so we don't know yet. I'm going to keep that there. But here we go, next on the list, Harvest Moon Light of Hope. Utter cow. It's going right at the bottom. Now that's a little bit mean, but yeah, it's going there. Harvest Moon was the first Harvest Moon game to come to PC, I believe. It came on Steam. But as you know, Harvest Moon is no longer Harvest Moon, essentially. Even though it's got the name, it's not made by the same people who made the classic Harvest Moons. It's been took over by a different company. What's the name? Is it Natsume? Whereas obviously the developers before for the classic Harvest Moons were marvelous. So yeah, essentially Natsume have took the license the name Harvest Moon, start pumping out random games and just making profit from the name. That's literally all it is. It's not the Harvest Moons we are, well, especially that I'm used to playing, and it's just not the same. I didn't enjoy this. I made one video on this as well, thinking, you know, I might give it a chance, see how good it is, but yeah, I just didn't enjoy it. I never played it again. The visuals were just, I don't know, there's something about the game that just, it's just dead. It's just not good. I mean, I probably could put this in dead, maybe not be as harsh, because, you know, it was playable, but I can remember the price tag of this game when it first came out. It was so high because they're profiting off the name. And for me, it's a bad farming game. They've just literally forced one out, made money from the Harvest Moon name, and just thought everyone's going to be happy with an Harvest Moon game for the PC. Because they even made it for like an anniversary, like Harvest Moon's been around for blah blah blah. We've made a game to celebrate it, but you know, it's just, I don't know. It didn't settle well with me, so it's going down there for me. Farmer's Dynasty is next on the list. Now this game is basically House Flipper. If you don't know what that is, you've got to like customize and build up houses, crossed with like The Sims and Farming Simulator. So you're on a farm, you've got to build it up. I was going to make a video on this as well, but I never got around to it. But I have played this game. Yeah, you've just got to build up your farm, you get relationships, you can get married, you've got to get your own crops and live and survive on the farm. But it's all about constructing, you've got to build it all up as well. And it's also like a life simulation. It's a pretty fun game. It's got huge potential. If you like The Sims, if you like House Flipper, if you like Farming Simulator, this is definitely your game. I would recommend it. But for me, it's going in not bad, just because, yeah, it doesn't compete with those in the amazing list there. Next on the list, though, Kinseed. Oh my god, this game. Now, obviously, this is a very early access game. It's hard to put this into a tier just because it's not a finished product yet, just like many of these early access games, which is not many, actually. There's a lot of these games on this list are full release, but Kinseed is early access, and it's getting worked on every single time. As you all know, on this channel, I love Kinseed. It's one of them games that, yeah, I just love it. And for me, it's definitely going in greatest of all time. It's going there in the GOAT, just because I know when this game does get fully released and it's at its final stage, it's going to be incredible. It's going to be one that I'm going to constantly play. Just like Stardew Valley, this is going to be the next Stardew Valley for me. Not obviously the kind of game, but just how much hours I'm going to put into it, the love that I have for it. Yeah, it's up there, and I can't wait to see the final product of Kinseed. It's got a huge potential. If you don't know what it is, you should. I think it's like £7 on Steam, so it's a very cheap price for an early access game, which is good. They're not profiting off of it like, oh, it's an early access title, it's not even finished, let me take your money, you know. It's very cheap. But what I like about Kinseed, which I've spoken about many times, is it's got like an aging system in it. So it's a farming game. You got to farm the land, you got to raise a family, you know, run shops, explore, build up relationships and friendships with people. But you actually get old in the game. People age. Not just you, but everyone else around you in the town. People age, and eventually you'll die when you become old. And your character, you obviously age as well. When you get to a certain age, you will die, but if you've got children or a family, they will take over. They will fill your shoes and continue the family's legacy, which is awesome. And I love that. That's so unique in a game, in a farming RPG game that is as well. Very exciting. So it's going up there, Kinseed. Next on the list, Plantera. Now this is just a very simple, charming game, very cheap. It's like £2 on Steam. They're actually making a number 2 of this. If you don't know what this is though, you've got to build your own garden, you've got to watch it grow with new plants, bushes, trees, animals. As you keep playing, you keep expanding. Your garden will attract helpers, which are like weird creatures that come and help you with harvesting tasks, etc. It's just a simple farm game. I know a lot of people love it though. Like I said, they are making a number 2 as well. I think I've only played this once, but I'm going to put this in not bad, because it's not a bad game. Just a simple, charming farm game, and that's where it's going for me. Next on the list, World's Dawn. Another game that reminds me of like the Harvest Moon styled games. Got to bring life back to a sleepy seaside village. Got to build up friendships. Got to find love. Got to harvest crops, tend livestock. We can compete in festivals, fishing, mining, etc. Very nostalgic game if you do love the Harvest Moon games and Story of Seasons games, etc. And yeah, this is another one that's going in not bad. It's not a bad game. It's not going in amazing for me just because I didn't play too much of it. It didn't get me hooked for a long time. But I did enjoy my time playing. It's not a bad game for a farming game, and it's going right there in the middle slot for me. Next on the list, Stranded Sails. A somewhat new game that's not long came out. I featured this on the channel and I've got it on Switch and I played quite a bit of this game as well. Stranded Sails, obviously you can farm, you can cook, you can craft, you can get your ship and go to different islands. It's like a farming adventure. You've got to set up camp, get your crew all together after your shipwreck. It's like a farming adventure RPG. I had this in my wishlist for a long time. I was following it for a long time. It's one of them games that I don't know, it's like the hype was so real, I got excited for it, and then when I started playing it, it just wasn't what I thought it would be. Not in a bad way though, like, I don't know, I feel like it was just something missing. So for me, this is also going in not bad. It's not a bad game, nothing bad against it at all. It's a very good game, but for me personally, I just didn't play it enough. I didn't get hooked. I just feel like it needs to be not bad. It's between not bad and amazing because it was a good game, but I'm just going to go there for now. That's my instinct. Next on the list, Verdant Skies. If you know what this is, you're an OG. Been out a few years now, this game. Another life simulation game. It took inspiration from Harvest Moon as well. Another one of those games with a modern twist. It's like set in an alien world. You're on like these planets and stuff like that, and you've got to ensure the success of the colony. You've got to make friends with people, pursue romance. It's more of a life simulation than a farming game, but you can farm in the game obviously as well. You've got to demonstrate your mastery of the farming system, creating the perfect crop. I didn't play a lot of it, but what I did play I enjoyed, but it just didn't last long for me. It got a little bit boring. I'm not sure if the style was for me, and it's not a bad game, but it did die a little bit for me. But I'm also going to put this in not bad. I know we've got a lot in here, but it's just not a bad game. Some of these games aren't bad. They're not amazing, but they're not dead, you know, they're not bad games, and obviously there's going to be a lot in there, I know that. Next on the list, Atomic Crops. A new game that came out this year. I actually made a video on this as well. It's like a farm, marry and kill game, you know, it's action-packed, like a post-apocalypse wasteland. All your farms been mutated, all the crops and the townsfolk and stuff like that, and all the creatures are all mutated. And yeah, you've got to farm, and you are basically providing for the town, getting food for the people that have survived, but you've got these weird mutated crops and things trying to attack you. You've got to defend it. You've got to survive each day, and it gets harder. You've got to upgrade your weapons, etc. But once you die in the game, you've got a certain amount of life. So when you die, you've got to start back from the beginning. It's one of them kind of games. You've got to go against bosses and stuff. It's a very frustrating, challenging game. If you haven't got patience and you don't like restarting over and over again, then this game's not going to be for you. But I actually enjoyed it, and I've got it on the Switch now as well, which I thought would have been a good idea, but it's actually really, really hard and frustrating, even more difficult using a controller than it is on the PC, so that was a bad mistake. Another one, guys, I'm sorry, but it's going in not bad because it's not a bad game, but it's not amazing for me. But next on the list is going to be amazing, and that's going to be Farming Simulator 19. A classic farming game, but this is like mustard, this game. You've either got to love it or you hate it, because it's just one of them games where some people want to stay away from it, some people want to go into it every single time a new one comes out. For me, I'm a Farming Simulator fan. It's obviously a very realistic game. It's not like an indie style game or an RPG game. This is literally farming, the closest thing to real life ever. Get all your crops, sell them, make money. You know, it's a realistic farming game. And if you are a farmer, I know a lot of farmers play this game, people who do it in real life, or if you love or have an interest in farming or tractors and machinery, this game is for you. And I've been a fan of this for many years now, and for me it is an amazing farming game. It just is. But what's not amazing is next on the list. This is pure farming. Now this is basically a rip-off of Farming Simulator, another game that came out similar to Farming Simulator with the same kind of style, a realistic farm game. But it's just not as good. I wouldn't even say it's not bad, because it is kind of bad. I just did not enjoy it, and that's mainly because I played Farming Simulator for so long. So when I did try out this game, I was expecting it to be like Farming Simulator, and it wasn't. So for me, it's going in dead. It's a dead game. Next on the list, Seren Fate. Another early access farm style game, but more of like a very magical fantasy feel to it. You've been turned into a witch, and you've got to learn magic, and you can do spells and stuff like that, as well as like farm the land and survive and make unique friends, etc. Them kind of style games aren't for me. I'm not a fantasy person. I more prefer the medieval RPG, classic style games or whatever, whereas the sci-fi, the elements aren't for me as much, and I feel like this is like overload fantasy, like all the spells and stuff. It's just not for me. I know Kinseed's a fantasy game, but it's also very medievally RPG, and that's what I like, you know, whereas this, I feel like it's not got any of that. It's more spells, you know, magic potions and brewing stuff and stuff like that. And yeah, it's not a bad game, but I just don't want to play it again. It's just one of them games I don't think I will play again. I'm not sure. Maybe I'll make a video and it'll change my mind, but I did play like a very alpha version of it. It was very early and it was lacking a lot of content, so maybe that's what didn't excite me as much. But for me, it's going to be, I'm sorry, it's going to be in the dead because I just didn't get excited with the game too much. Next on the list, Pumpkin Days, a life simulation game again. Pumpkin Days, a very adorable farm life sim. Made videos on this as well, played it for a little while. It's a very traditional farming RPG. You've got 2 towns to choose to live in, and you've got to farm, fish, mine, and much more. It's like a 3D Stardew Valley, essentially. But yeah, it's just a pure farming game. You get animals and crops and stuff like that, build up relationships. The style was very unique, and I enjoyed it. But for me, it's going in not bad. Straight away, it wasn't amazing, but it's not a bad game. I keep saying it. They're all not bad. Let's just put everything in not bad, all right? But no, it's definitely going there for me. Next on the list, Re-Legend or RE Legend. I'm going to put this in amazing. It's an amazing game. In fact, I changed my mind. I'm actually going to put this in not bad as well. And the reason was, this game has been hyped up for many years. This was like on the top of everybody's radar. The hype was real. It was long awaited. This game took so long to come out. People were so excited for this game. And yeah, they kept people waiting for a long time. It got pushed back and pushed back. It reminded people of Harvest Moon and Pokemon. You've got to collect these creatures and level them up and evolve them, breed them, you know, get these amazing pet companions you can farm and fish and craft and build. It sounds amazing on paper. The screenshots and the trailers looked incredible, but I just don't feel like it lived up to the hype. It was a letdown. This game was a letdown, and that's all I can say. I don't know what it was, but obviously it is an early access game, and that's probably the reason why. Now, I would have rather have waited for a full release. You know, all this hype after all this time. Don't drop us an early access, just give us the full thing. Maybe that would have changed a lot of people's opinions, but yeah, this has had a big negative review on Steam, or all over actually. It's just people have been a bit insulted by it, you know, and that's all I can say. I think it's like it's let people down, and it's been taking heavy criticism lately. So for me, it's going in not bad because it has got potential. It's early access, we've got to give it time. I do love the aspect of the game, but yeah, I feel like it's got to go there. Next on the list, Fancy Farming Orange Season, very similar to, it's going in not bad by the way, of course, but it's very similar to Stardew Valley, Harvest Moons, them kind of games, another farming game. When this game first came out, it was unpolished, it was lacking content. For me, back then when it first came out, when I first played it on the channel, it would have gone into dead. But it's been updated since, it's been worked on a lot, it's still pushing updates out, and it's changed massively from the first time I played it. And for that reason, it's going up a bit. Maybe in time it's going to go even higher, but I do love the aspect of the game. I haven't got really any bad things to say about it. You can't go wrong with the price. Cheap, cheerful farming game. It's probably the game closest to Stardew Valley visually and gameplay out of anything on here. Like Fancy Farming Orange Season and Stardew Valley. Just like on paper and with screenshots and stuff, they look so similar, but Stardew Valley obviously. It doesn't compare to Stardew Valley, it's just a completely different game. But it's very, very highly, you can tell it's highly inspired by Stardew Valley. Next on the list, Forager. Forager, what an addicting little game. I wouldn't really say this is like a farm RPG, even though you can farm and get animals and crops, blah, blah, blah. It's more of a quirky, idle game that you just want to keep actively playing. You've got to explore, craft, gather, manage resources, find secrets, build bases, buy lands to explore and expand. Very addicting game. Like, it's one of them where you just want to keep playing, you want to keep playing, you want to keep playing. You can't come off it. But it's not, it says idle game, I guess, because it's literally just moving around, clicking things, you know, you're just back and forth all the time, but it's not idle in the sense it's peaceful, it's hectic, it's a mad rush, but it is an awesome game. And I did enjoy every second. And for me, it's going in amazing because it's an amazing game. Like, it's so simple but so fun. Did make a few videos on this, and I can remember when I dropped a video on Forager when it first got released, or before it got released. I made a little introduction video on it, and yeah, it went very, very well. People loved it. The video went so well. Next on the list, I don't even want to talk about this. Wild Season. It's going in utter cow shit. If you don't know what this game is, I mean, just search it on Steam and just look at the reviews, guys. Don't even waste your money on this game. That's all I will say. This game is basically a rip-off to Harvest Moon and Stardew Valley. They have just made a game that's similar, farming life sim. You know, they've made the title and the graphics and the picture and the logo very similar to Harvest Moon, but it's just not that. It's rubbish. It's poor. It's a bad game. The reviews are the worst I've ever seen on a farming game. Visuals aren't great. Yeah, it's just, I mean, the price as well. I think it's like £13, which is like, what, $15 to $20? It's unbelievable. Do not waste your money. I mean, the reviews are going to tell you that. I can remember when I seen this game and I bought it, I thought, I'll make a video on this. It's very similar to what we play on the channel. People might like it. Oh my god. Played it. Never wanted to go into it again. I think I actually refunded it because it just was not what it seemed. It was laggy, it was buggy, very, very unoptimized, very disappointing. Just buy Stardew Valley instead. Like, literally, just get that game instead. Next on the list, Autonauts. An automated farming kind of game where you get robots to do your work for you. I remember making a video on this when it first came out as well. Reminds me a lot of Forager in the sense of it's like an idle game that you just want to keep playing. It's very addicting, very addicting. You got to culture your colonists for the first time with automated art. Yeah, you got to build like a spaceport to export your goods and resources to other planets to make your money. Yeah, you just got to make an automated farm. Very addicting, very awesome. I love this game. I actually really enjoyed it. It's hard to where to put this because I did actually super enjoy it. I've been actually wanting to play this game again recently. It's been one of them games I want to get back into. I'm actually going to put this in not bad. Not bad. It's going there for me. Very close to being an amazing game. Well, it is an amazing game. Obviously, most of these games are amazing, but this is just a tier list video. I've got to put them somewhere, right? Next on the list, Obelisk, a very new game that's just got released, a farming game, very similar to Stardew Valley, you know, and Pokemon. You've got to collect these creatures, these oobs that they call them, or whatever. Yeah, it's like a farming town life game, a life simulator, creature collection game, you know, you've got to manage your farm, grow and train your ooblets, you've got to explore strange lands, you can have dance-offs, very cute game. The visuals are great. This has been on my wish list. This game was on my wish list for a long time. I was following this for super long. And yeah, it lived up to what the game was hyping up to be, and I enjoyed it. The only downside to this game, it did get criticised and it took a big backlash because I think the developers signed like a deal with Epic Games where it would only release on that platform and nowhere else, I believe. Could get mistaken, but it was meant to be coming to Steam, but I don't think it is anymore because it's only allowed to come on Epic Games. And a lot of people didn't like that. Like, there's almost like sellouts. Regarding all that nonsense that's gone off, obviously developers have got to do what they got to do, but the game is great. It's a good game, and for me it's going in amazing because it's up there with the best farming games and a life simulate, like a creature collection life sim. It has it all. If you haven't played it, I recommend you do. And the last one on the list, we're finally to the end. I feel like I've been talking for so long, guys. I've got dry mouth here. But the next game is Story of the Seasons, Friends of Mineral Town. Have a guess where you think this is going, guys. Obviously, this is the second Story of Seasons franchise game to come to the PC. Obviously, we did have this game, Doraemon, which was the first, and then the new one which got released very recently, which is a remake of Harvest Moon Friends of Mineral Town, which that was a remake of Harvest Moon Back to Nature, the classic, the original Harvest Moon games, the real ones. And yeah, this is a remake of that, and oh my god, I am so happy. This is going in the greatest of all time, just because for me, it reminds me of my childhood. It's very nostalgic, it brings back my memories. I was a young boy when I played my first ever Harvest Moon game, Back to Nature, and I fell in love with the game, and gaming in general from there. And it was all down to that game, and this is a remake of it, a modern remake. It looks incredible, it plays incredible, and it just reminds me of every second that I was that little boy, the little Sharky, playing on my PlayStation 1, or was it a GameCube? I can't even remember what it was. I used to get back from school and load up Back to Nature, and I played on it for hours, and yeah, it's just a very nostalgic. It's very special to me, that game. Legit, it really is special to me, and that's why Friends of Mineral Town Story of Seasons is going right up there. So that is it, guys. I think that's my list. What do you think? Could we change anything? I'm not sure. We'll start off on the bottom. The games that are utter cow. Obviously, it's Harvest Life, Wild Season, and the Harvest Moon, the fake Harvest Moon, Light of Hope. In the Dead, we've got Pure Farming, which is a rip-off of Farming Simulator. We've got Aquacultureland, it just died for me. Alchemist Story and Seren Fate, just wasn't for me, those games. I'm happy with those going in there. Then, games that aren't in not bad, we've got Stranded Sails, Doraemon Story of Seasons, and now I'm actually tempted to knock that up. I'm just going to make a few adjustments. I'm actually going to make that into an amazing game, because it is an amazing game. Story of Seasons is very special to me anyway, and yeah, it deserves better than that, because it was a good game. So it's going there, it's going in amazing. Comparing it to these here, I just feel like it's got to go up. Dayland, Farm Together, Gleaner Heights, Stillness of the Wind, Traveller's Rest, we can't really compare because that's a new game. Farmer's Dynasty, Plantera, World's Dawn, Verdant Skies, Atomic Crops, Pumpkin Days, Re-Legend, Harvest, Fancy Farming Orange Season, and Autonauts, all in not bad. I'm happy with that. Amazing games, Staxel, definitely. Summer in Mara, yes. Garden Paws, Graveyard Keeper, very close to being a GOAT game for me, but it's going there. Let's put this right at the start, actually. Slime Rancher, yes. Farming Sim 19, Forager, Ooblet, Story of Seasons, Doraemon, I'm happy with that. And we have 4 GOAT games. Out of all of the farming RPG games I've played on the PC, the 4 are there. Obviously Stardew Valley's got to be number 1, The King, but My Time at Portia, Kinseed, and Story of Seasons, Friends of Mineral Town. They are my 4 favourite ever farming RPG games that are out now, that are playable on the PC only. Bear in mind, these aren't consoles. I know there might be lots of other games that are out for Switch and DS's and blah blah blah, but this is just for PC. These are all playable on the PC, and that is my list. PC farming games tier list. Obviously guys, there is going to be other farming games for the PC that I've not included in this. That's probably because I've not heard of them myself, or I've not played them, and they're just not as popular as these ones. We couldn't have 50 to 100 games here, it would take too long. But that is it. Hopefully you enjoyed the video, hopefully you found it interesting, hopefully you've got a good idea now of what kind of games I like and which ones are my favourite. Please let me know down below in the comments which changes you'd make to this. Would you change it? Would you massively change it? Which ones are your GOAT games and your utter cow shit games? If you do follow me on Twitter, make sure you do. I'll put a link down below. I'll be happy to see screenshots of your farming games tier list. I could maybe save this and put a link for people to also do this themselves. I'll see if I can do that. I'll put a link down below in the description. Subscribe if you're new. I've got another video coming out very soon, guys, which is an upcoming farm game video. There is lots of farming RPG games or farm style games, new ones that are coming out either at the end of this year or next year, and they look amazing. I can't wait to show them off. It's going to be the next generation of farming games. Obviously all this on this list right now are the ones that we've been playing for the last few years or recently, but we've got some more coming out. Maybe the second tier list can involve them and we can compare where they all go. But yeah, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell to see that video. But I'm going to end that one there. I feel like I've been talking for a long time here. It's obviously going to be a little bit of a longer video, but it is what it is, alright? Thanks for watching, guys. Make sure you stay safe and healthy, and I'll catch you all on the next one. Bye-bye.